Have you got tons and tons of gear in your bag? Like, loads. And you have no idea what's best? Keep watching. We're going to have a look at a lovely little program called SimPermut, and we're going to work out what the best thing for you to wear actually is. Watch this space, guys. Do you have bags a bit like mine? They're messy. You've got tons of gear in there. You don't quite know what the best stuff to use actually is. Well, keep watching, because what we're going to do, we're going to use a add-on combination, a few other things, external programs as well, called SimPermut, to basically get a pretty in-depth, advanced simulation done of your character using multiple sets of gear and see what's going to be the best stuff for you to wear. So what we need to do before we go and do all of the bits and bobs like that, there's a few prerequisites we need to get sorted. Okay, so let's go get that sorted now. Right, so a few things we need. The first thing, funnily enough, the most important one, is to get the information into the game. So if I just drag this over here, there we go. You need an add-on called SimPermut, SimPermut, and it's in my list here somewhere. We've got SimCraft. Where is it? SimPermut. There it is. This is the add-on that you actually want. And brief description of it on the Twitch client when it loads. Just allows you to generate a string usable in SimCraft with all the individual permutations for all of the items you have in your inventory. This is the key thing, okay? If you were to just do normal SimCraft output, it would show you what you're wearing, it would show you what's in your bag, but it's all commented out, and you've got to faff about to get it to do what you want it to do. SimPermut generates the string for you and makes it nice and simple. Alright, so install this using the Twitch client. Don't go into the game yet, something else we need to do, and this is, funnily enough, getting SimPermut itself. Now, it's on GitHub. It is, to be fair, a really, really cracking set of scripts. Now, there are instructions here. You need to download Python. So go to python.org/downloads, install that. As it says here, this is very, very important. During the installation, there will be an option to install Python to your path. If you don't know what that is, don't worry. It's not massively important. It's just a location in your Windows file system where you don't have to type the full length of the command in. So if I want to run Notepad, I can just type notepad.exe anywhere, and it'll check my path first, then it'll look everywhere else. During the install, add Python 3.x to the path so that it gets automatically added to the environment variable. That's all it's for. Trust me, I know what this is. I know what this means. I'm a Microsoft certified professional myself. I used to have to add a lot of stuff to the path. Yeah, it's fine. It's not going to break anything. It's just Python. Okay. I would also recommend, well, obviously 7-zip, because it can automatically download the nightly SimCraft builds for you, so you don't have to keep doing the updating for you. And this Notepad replacement, Notepad++, just Google Notepad++, or go to notepad-plus-plus.org and download this. It makes editing certain files a little bit easier. It's basically a massive improvement on Windows inbuilt Notepad. I can't live without it. It's on my must-install list, simple as. If you were to... In fact, have I got Notepad++ open? I do. There we go. If I move this... There we go. This is Notepad++. Puts in line numbers. Don't worry about the colouring. Yours will look different. Editing a batch file there, and as you can see, it looks at what's typed in and it knows what's code and what isn't, and it color codes it for you, so it makes it a little bit easier to see. All in all, really, really good little program, and it's one of those that I recommend to everybody. Okay, so get Notepad++ installed, get Python installed, download SimC Min-Max, as it's called on here. There we go, and you click this green button, download zip. So click that. Yes, I'm using Edge. Sue me, I've only just reinstalled the computer. I haven't installed all my bits yet. And then obviously save it to wherever you want to save it. Extract it to a folder. I believe it or not, I've actually got mine on my desktop. Makes no difference. And that is an awful lot of it done. So once you've actually got that downloaded and opened up, if I go to my desktop, there we go. AutoSimC Master, that's going to be what you're going to have. This is all of the files that are in the zip file that you've just downloaded. All the individual bits and bobs. There's a few things that you're going to need to do. Settings.py. Open that in Notepad++. So open with, or in this one here, if you got it installed, edit with Notepad++. That should open up. There we go. This is basically the configuration for SimPermut. Now, this part here, I comment it out. Always have. Just stick a hash in front of it. It'll change the colour to the same as it comments it out. All it means is that, because I don't do this multiple times a day very often, normally this is done once every few weeks, so I want to make sure that I'm always downloading the newest nightly version of SimCraft before I get this done. So auto download SimC equals true means that SimCraft will automatically be downloaded by the batch file for you before it runs any sims. You need to have the 7-zip command line utility installed. So if you install the full version of 7-zip from, well, just Google for 7-zip, that'll be there. Okay, really, really good. Input file name, input.txt. There's a default one there anyway. There's no point changing it, to be fair. All of the other bits and pieces. The only bit you may want to change is this section here. Now, this is telling the processing part of the simulation program how many of a specific tier item you want. Now, I don't want tier 19 or tier 20 stuff used on my characters because I don't really have much of it. And for me, as an Unholy Death Knight, the tier 2-piece and 4-piece T21 is actually worth getting, unlike some classes. So, in my case, I want a minimum of 2 pieces of 21 and a maximum of 6. I never use 6 because I've got the 2 best in slot legendaries, which are chest and shoulders, but there we go. I don't want it to turn around and say, no, you can only use 4 of them and then ignore the other 2 if I've got them, because they're normally pretty good. Other than that, the rest of it, in truth, I haven't dug into massively. I just leave it be. There's nothing else in here that I actually change. It's just the basic settings. Okay, so now that is all sorted, you should have... Helps when you don't leave a water bottle in front of your other screen that you're recording on. Right, okay, sorry about that. You've got all the bits and bobs there. You've got the add-on installed in WoW. You've downloaded AutoSimC or SimPermut for the game. You've got Python installed. That's the basic bits and pieces done, okay? What we need to do is go into the game and we need to generate our input file that looks a little bit like this. So let's crack on. Let's go get your input file generated. We'll run some sims. Right, so we are in the game. As always, with bits and pieces like this, you need to make sure that you've got the add-on. So, as always, you're on your main login screen, go to add-ons, make sure load out of date's ticked. Why mine wasn't, I don't know, but there we go. And you want to be looking for SimPermut. And as the description says, construct SimC export strings with permutations for items in your inventory, based on SimC. So, I've got them both. I use the 2 for 2 different things, but SimPermut is the one we want in this case. Excuse me. So, add-ons are there. We log in. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to sim my Unholy spec. Because I don't think I did Unholy. I think I've done Frost and Blood. I don't think I've actually done Unholy. So we'll have a little look and see what we can see. Let me just move my fat face down a bit. There we go. Takes a little bit of a while to load because it's a new install.
Item yet.
Well, supposedly I can't use that item. I haven't actually got in the game yet, but I can't use the item. There we go. Right, okay. So, we are in the game. Stood in Acarus. And it is pronounced Acarus. Anyone who wants to argue with that one, go and watch some of the cinematics. It is Acarus. You type in / SimPermut. SimPermut. Boom. There's the window. And that is showing all of the items that I have on. And all of the items that I have in my bag. That's worthwhile. Now, in fact, I don't think it is showing everything. Again, this is the joys of having Trade Skill Master running. 9 times out of 10, you've actually got to wait for everything to load and then do it properly. That's more like it. I thought I was missing a few things. Right, okay, so this is the add-on itself. What's it saying? What's the first thing that comes to mind is, oh my good God, what is this? It's really, really simple when you break it down. Okay, the only page as a rule I personally use of this add-on is the gear permutation option at the top. You can check talents as well. It can do all sorts of things. Gear permutation. Now, in my case, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Legos in my bag. I'm only going to use 2 of them. Okay, which is the shoulder pads and Cold Heart. Okay, so I can tick them nice and simple, and I can untick the shoulders, untick the chest, because I'm not changing them at all. I want to see out of these, and again, if you hover over the items, it'll tell you what the item is. It's a 945 heroic Volcanicore pendant, 945 heroic Collar of Null Flame, and a 960 heroic Warforged Chain of the Unmaker that I actually haven't put a gem in yet. Very bad. Shoulders, like I say, for Unholy, I'm not going to change it. Death March isn't going to be used, so I've only got the 1 hell, which is fine. On my heroic, not heroic tier, the Titan Forge version, which is just as good. Chest, we're only using Cold Heart, so they're my 2 legendaries. I'm going to select that cloak, because that's a 930 version, I don't need it. Great Cloak with the Dark Pantheon's 930, don't need that, so 945. If there's some items that you know you're not going to change out, untick everything else in the section. Because the less possible permutations you have, the quicker it's going to run. So if I tick everything here, it's going to take an hour or 2 to do it. If I tick 2 or 3 things, it'll take about 30 seconds. So, yeah, the more you add to it, the more possible permutations it is. It goes up exponentially. So, the wrists, I want to check both wrists, because they're both 930s. Hands, Demi Gauntlets, waist, I've only got the 1. Legs, 950s. Feet are, yeah, fingers. That and that. Untick that and tick those 4. Right, so I know full well I'm not going to use KJ's Burning Wish or any of these rings because they're legendaries, and I've already got my 2 legendaries selected, which is Cold Heart and the shoulder pads. The rest of the stuff is what I want to work out. Now, this stuff here allows you to change the enchants that are listed in the output here, okay? If you want to see what it's like if you enchant your neck with Hidden Satyr rather than Heavy Hide, you can do that, and it'll do all the different permutations that way. Personally, I'm not touching any of this because I'll sort it all out in my own way. If you want to have a specific amount of tier 20, tier 21, you can put it there, okay? In my case, I want all checked because I don't have 4-piece now. Because I'm not wearing the chest, which is slightly infuriating. I've lost my 4-piece until I get the hands, which hopefully I'll be getting tonight, but we'll see. Legendaries, 2 of 2. I want 2. Job done. I'm not replacing any gems. Report type, I always have it as copy number. It just makes this a bit smaller, and it means that it's going to give you the item IDs rather than the names. So if you've got, say, in my case, very good, I got Dreadweight Great Cloaks. Rather than listing that twice, it'll put the individual item numbers, because of course they're two different items. That's 152113. That's 152113, but a different item level. So it makes it easier to see. Okay, so click Generate. This is changed. Click AutoSimC Export. Copy that, and then what we do is we go and dump that into Notepad, and we run the sim. So let's go and get that sorted. We'll see how that's done. Right, so after a little technical glitch, let's try this part again. We've been into the game, we've generated our AutoSimC output, and we're now going to have to put this into a place that the AutoSimC program can see it. So, in your AutoSimC folder, you'll have an input.txt file. You open that in Notepad++, and paste in whatever it was that you got from the add-on in World of Warcraft. Save it. Job done. That's it. You've got it in there. It's ready to go. All right. So once that's done, you go back to your SimC, and you find this file here, launch.bat. Okay. And you open it. It'll chuck out a lot of bits and pieces. Starting automatic download check of SimCraft. I've got the latest version, so it doesn't need to download it. It looks through the actual SimC file, says that I'm a troll, I'm level 110, I'm unholy, I'm DPS. From the back, all my artifact bits and bobs, all the past gear, all the item IDs, all the usual bits and bobs. 72 valid passes to do. And then it comes to this part here. This is where you need to start reading it. It says, do you want to do a static mode, which uses a fixed number of iterations with varying error per profile? It is faster if simulating large amounts. And we're talking 2 million permutations, which is very, 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 very possible. Personally, I always use the dynamic mode. It's just to give you a rough idea again. So you hit 2, hit enter, and this is where we end up waiting. So, we'll let this do its thing. And we'll be back when it's all sorted. Still waiting. Still waiting. Usually quicker than this, but quite a few permutations with this one. Oh well, still going. Just checking it is doing what it needs to do. You'll find on this section that it can take a wee while. It does take a little bit of time. So if it's very, very slow and you're concerned it's hung, pull up your task manager, have a look at your performance tab. You should be sitting at about 100% utilization because it's SimCraft. It takes a lot. But bear with it. We'll get there in the end. Right, and then eventually you'll get lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of bits and pieces like this coming up. Okay? Now, in all honesty, when you're running a sim like this, my advice to you is set it going, forget about it, go make a cup of tea, how English of me, or a cup of coffee, go and feed the dog, play with your kids, put something on the telly for 10-20 minutes, because depending on how many items you're simming, yeah, this can take a wee while. Again, pull up your task manager if you're really concerned about it. It's, as you can see, it's working away. It's basically going through every possible permutation of gear that you've given the input file. So if you put 2 items, or say 2 of each items, it'll look, say you've got 2 heads, 2 shoulders, you want to check which one's best. It'll go head 1, shoulder 1, head 1, shoulder 2, head 2, shoulder 1, head 2, shoulder 2. Simple. In this case, I'm using about 30 different items. So it has to do every possible combination of those 30 items. And there are a large amount. We're talking hundreds of thousands of possible permutations that there could be. If you were to do it on raid bots, as an example, you can only have 300, I think it's 300,000 iterations of gear. You tick more than 6 items, and you're looking at almost 450 to 500,000 different possible item combinations. It's an exponential scale. So, if you're only doing 1 or 2 items, I would suggest using the likes of raid bots because it's quicker and it's less hassle. If you're doing multiple gear sets, do it this way because you can do everything without having to do multiple different things. And after someone wants to say hi, usually not in the videos. The mama cat wants to say hello. She probably wants feeding. So whilst this is doing its thing, that's probably what I'm going to go do. We'll be back with you in a minute. So we're getting there. As you can see, generating baseline Tathertrix and Cold Heart. Another legendaries. 4 of 6. This is the bit you really want to look at. This is the 4th of 6th possible run. And it's going to be about 8 seconds until that one's done. And then it's got to do 5, and then it's got to do 6. So once again, we'll be back when it's there. Right, okay, so we're getting to the end of number 6. It's taken its sweet time, but it's getting there. Like I said, so many different calculations, different permutations. The faster your computer, the faster this is going to be. I record on a laptop with an i7. It's a laptop, so yeah, it's not going to be as quick as some other machines. I am looking to build something better, but finances being what they are, might be a few months before I get that sorted. But we're getting there. Another few seconds to go. And we are simmed. Does a bit of merging, analyzes some data. This is the majority of it done now. It's just got a few bits and pieces to sort out. It generates a report, which we'll have a look at in just a second. And then the cleanup. Now, do you want to remove subfolders? Personally, yeah, you do. Main reason being, these can take a while. These can take up a bit of space. If you've got tons and tons of hard drive space, go for it. But this is on my solid state, so it takes, you know, space is at a premium. So there we go, all done. And that's it. You're simmed. Now, what we need to have a look at now is the report. So we go to SimC master folder again. There will be a new folder in there now called reports. Results, sorry. So you go into results. As you can see, I've done some earlier on today. This is the most recent one, 25th of January 2018, just after 2 o'clock. Fire that up. And this will give you, for anyone who's used SimCraft before, you'll recognise this. SimC output. You got your actions per minute, summaries, DPS variances for all of the different sets. Sim information, all the individual sets. So what you want to look at, the way I always do it, is shrink all these down. So you don't need these. These are the different sets that we've been simming. Okay? The top one, I mean, as you can see, out of all of them, there's not a massive amount of difference in my case. 1.769, 1.766, down to 1.759. So there's, all in all, there's about 10k difference between all the individual sets with variance, okay? So say we want to look at this at the top one here, which is 1.769, which is this one here. Tathertrix, Heart None 24. Click the little drop down arrow. Troll, Death Knight, Unholy, 110 attack. All the usual bits and pieces. You've got your damaging abilities. As you see, my biggest damager should be my Battle Maiden, my Valkyria, when it's all done with it, because I've got the shoulder pads, it buffs it by 40%. I should spike up at around about 4.5 million damage, and then average out somewhere around about 1.7. Up and down, and this is going to be pretty much as my cooldowns are available. Okay? All the usual bits and bobs, all the buffs, rune waves details, which to be honest I don't usually look at. Taking into account well-fed flask and runes. Pet abilities, blah 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 blah. Right. Stats. Gear. And this is the gear that SimCraft says I should be wearing. Dreadwick helm, chain of the Unmaker, shoulders, cold heart, and all the other bits and bobs. And there you go. That is basically how to work out what the best gear is. Obviously, if you've only got 2 or 3 items, you don't need to go into so much detail. You can do that on raidbots.com, which is the same principle. You just use a SimulationCraft add-on and dump that in there, and it does it for you. If you've got multiple different bunches of items, and you want to work out what the best combo is, say you've got a new legendary and you've got 3 of everything, 3 rings, 3 helms, 3 necks, 3 shoulders, and you want to go through all of them, this is how you do it. Like I said, it takes a while. Good. That took me probably a good half an hour, all in all, from starting recording up to now. But that's the basics of it. And you can do that for everything. Obviously, SimCraft support for tanking specs is patchy, just due to the way tanking works, and it doesn't work for healing at all. So this is mainly a DPS thing. I have done this for blood. In fact, let me see if I can find it. I think that'll be this one here. Let's have a little look. Yeah, this is my blood spec one. Now, my knowledge of tanking in full stop is negligible. It was not 94,000 iterations, so I have mine set to 100,000 runs. Okay. Obviously, if you have it set to 10, 20, 30,000, it's going to be a lot quicker. The more iterations that you have, and again, this is all in the settings of that Python file, the quicker it's going to be. But the more iterations you have, the more accurate it's going to be. Okay? So in my case, for blood, scroll all the way down. If I find out, and again, it's looking at the damage side, which is that. 911,000 DPS. Abilities, buffs, procs, resources, pretty much everything that we're going to need. And some of this is, you know, massive amounts of information. Gear, there you go. That's what I want to be using for that. KJ's Burning Wish, Insignia of the Grand Army, as you can see, not taking into account the helm or the shoulders, and everything was ticked. Pretty much every item I had for this. And that is the best lot. Chronoshard, KJ's, Ring of Twisted Webbing, Insignia of the Grand Army, along with the majority, that's my normal raid gear. So you can do that with, you can do it with everything. Obviously, the more gear you have, the more gear you give it, the longer it's going to take. The more iterations, the longer it's going to take. But if you're just doing it for, say, 2 individual items, take about 30 seconds. And once it's set up, it's done. It's ready to go. So once again, guys, thank you very much for popping along. If there's anything simming-wise or anything like that that you're not 100% on and you're not sure on, I would strongly recommend downloading SimulationCraft anyway, because it's a handy add-on, along with the SimulationCraft add-on for World of Warcraft itself. So, just to recap, Python, SimC master folder from GitHub. All the links for this will be down below. They'll be in the info bar. SimCraft, you don't need to download it because it will AutoSimC will do it for you. You've got the SimPermut add-on for Warcraft, and obviously we've gone a walkthrough showing you how to use that. So, hopefully, that's going to be helpful to some of you guys. It'll give you a little bit of a heads up on deciphering multiple different sets of gear. Again, you can go into the settings and you can change the type of fight. I always have it as a patchwork, just because it's to give me a baseline. It's not there to tell me this is what I have to wear. You've got things like hectic add cleave, light movement, heavy movement, if you're really wanting to fine-tune, but that's beyond the scope of what we're doing today. Okay, so just to get everything sorted out. Hopefully it's been useful. If it has, drop a like, hit a subscribe, let me know how you get on with it. If you're having any problems, by all means, post underneath. I try and keep my eye on my YouTube page as often as I can. It is relatively new, so sometimes it takes a little while. But yeah, by all means, let me know how you get on, and I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks again, guys. Have a great one.